Hi everyone, Holly from Safer Kids here. I've just jumped on to do this little video. I was talking to a girlfriend last week and I was telling her about my most successful lesson that I do with children. And as a parent, she thought that would be really a great thing to do with her sons and their mates. So and I just come back from camp where I had done this with 110 Year 9 girls. So I'm really passionate about this thing that we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, people might have heard about the Kids Helpline, but most people don't know the true value of the Kids Helpline. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how I teach this to children. So whether you're a teacher or a parent, I really recommend that you do this either around the kitchen table with your children if it's at home, or do it with your classes. So about the Kids Helpline, and in the notes I have this PDF, so you won't have to remember everything that I'm about to say. This has got all the points that I go through with the children. So what I do is I talk to them about the Kids Helpline, and I explain that the Kids Helpline is for children from 5 to 25. Because it's got the Kids Helpline in the name, people think it's only for children, but it actually goes all the way up till a person is 25. So it's free from a home phone, from a public phone, from a mobile phone. Children can email them and they can message them, similar to Facebook Messenger. And if you're a teacher, you can actually go onto Kids Helpline at schools and you can Skype them. You go into Kids Helpline at schools. They have a list of lessons that they can do with your classes. There's a timetable. So at Wednesday at 10 o'clock, you might choose to do a lesson on friendship or bullying or cyberbullying or things like that. But the kids will see the person on the screen on the smartboard, and it's interactive. So you'll have a computer with a camera on it, and the children can see the educator at the Kids Helpline, and it's just really interactive. So what else do you need to know about the Kids Helpline? There is about 135 different counsellors. They're based in Queensland, and about 20 of them are men. So what I do when I'm working with the children is I ask the kids how old they are, and so we're going to pretend that you're a classroom of 10-year-olds. So I'd say to the kids, well, I'm going to pretend to be 10, and I ring the Kids Helpline. Now, the first person that picks up the phone is going to be a counsellor. It doesn't go to a receptionist and then the children get passed off. So the children will actually be speaking to a counsellor straight up. So I ring the first person. I don't really get on with them. You don't have to like everybody. So what you could do is you might ring a couple of times until you find that person that you really get on with, and then you'd give them your name, because it's totally private. In the beginning, if children don't want to give their names, they don't have to. But I ring, we're going to pretend I'm 10 and my family are fighting. So I ring, I don't like that person. I ring again, and the next person is a man, and no offence, fellas, but I'd like to talk to a lady. So the children get to choose whether they talk to a female or a male. I ring again, and let's say Sarah answers. And Sarah's I'm going to say, Sarah, my mum and dad are fighting all the time. Now, I can talk to Sarah up to an hour at a time if I need to, and she can counsel me and give me some suggestions about what I could do to keep safe. She might say, look, Holly, have you tried to, go in your room and turn on your music? Have you talked to your grandparents or your teacher? And she can just counsel me for an hour for free. It's fantastic. So I might ring 3 or 4 times, and then it's fine at home. My parents were just going through a rough patch. So then what I would do with the children is I pretend that now I'm 14, and I'm 14 and I'm being cyberbullied. I can ring and ask to talk to Sarah, because once I find that person that I have that connection to, I can keep ringing them until the day I turn 25, or if Sarah leaves the Kids Helpline, then I would have to find somebody else. Now, if I ring to talk to Sarah at the Kids Helpline and she's not there that day, whoever answers the phone is going to say, look, she's not here today, but she'll be back in on Thursday or Friday or whenever she's back in. So if I'm desperate, I could talk to that counsellor. If it's not too serious, then I might choose to wait and talk to Sarah. Now, there'll never, ever be 2 Sarahs. If another Sarah joined, the Kids Helpline, then they would have a conversation, and what happens is they would have a conversation, and the second one will probably say, look, I like the name Violet, I'm going to be called Violet, or they come up with a compromise. So, but they can never get mixed up. So what I recommend you do is go through this list with the children, going through all of the different things that I've talked about, the different, how many workers there. Now, some interesting facts that we've come up with, because I actually, once I've gone through it all myself with the children, then I actually get on my mobile phone and I physically ring them. And that one child once said, oh, but Miss, you're over 25, which hurt a little bit, only just. But the beauty of ringing them, I can tell you something, but when you actually experience it, it just becomes so much more powerful. So I ring, and the kids get to experience the answering machine that comes on first, saying that it might be it might be recorded. If you don't want it recorded, you can ask for it not to be recorded, and it's totally private. And then you actually go on hold. Now, this is a really good experience for the children because you don't always get through straight away. The longest I've actually had to wait was 45 minutes. Normally, in a class during the day, I usually have to wait about 7 minutes at maximum, but just recently I've got through very quickly. So I ring, and I've got my mobile phone, and I'd say, hi, it's Holly from Safe for Kids here. I'm with a group of 10-year-olds. Can you tell us about the Kids Helpline? And they'll go through everything that I've just gone through with the children, that it's private, it's free and all that sort of stuff. It's 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. So the kids get to, when you're a parent, you tell your child something and their teacher tells them exactly the same thing. Who do your children believe? Yes, the teacher. Same here. I've told them exactly the same thing, but when it's reiterated by the Kids Helpline, it just makes it so much more powerful. So I'd say to them, can you tell us about the Kids Helpline? And they go through everything. But then I would say to them, what if a child swore at their parent? Would you growl at them? And again, they reiterate, no, we're here to listen to children. We never judge you. We never growl at you and things like that. Some of the counsellors might ask, some of them might give their name, some of them don't. Some of them say to the children, well, do you have any questions? Now, over the years, I've had some brilliant questions. I was down south in a small country town, and I had grade 6s. And one of the young kids said, it was an older gentleman, answered the phone. And this young fella said, so what's the busiest day of the year? And this gentleman said, I think it's Christmas Day. Christmas Day is pretty busy. Because, of course, kids in care will be ringing perhaps the Kids Helpline, so Christmas Day is quite a busy day. And another young fellow in the same class said, mate, how many calls a day would you get? And this gentleman said, I think we can get anywhere between 700 and 1,500 calls a day. And this kid goes, shit, that's a lot of sad kids. And I said, that's a private word, but yes, you're right, that's a lot of kids that need to talk about their feelings. So it's really interactive, and it's so... it's the kids really get it. So the other thing, when I'm talking to them on the phone, I'd say to them, so can you tell us about, what kids 10 years of age might ring about? Because whatever age group I'm with, I want them to, so if they're with 10-year-olds, it might be bullying and family issues and things like that. When I'm doing it with the 14-year-old girls like I did last week, it's more along the lines of cyberbullying, friendship, self-harm and those sorts of things. So I tell them the age of the children that I'm with, and then they pitch it to exactly the level of the children, which is fantastic. In all the times, I'd hate to think how many times I've done this, and in all the times I've done it, I've probably had 2 that were not that successful, but every other one has been really, really fantastic. And then the last thing I say to them is, sometimes bad things happen to children, and some kids think that the only person in the whole world that this has ever happened to. Have you heard lots of stories? And they reiterate again that nothing will shock them, they won't judge the children, and that they've heard lots of different stories. So if you're a parent, grab your kids around the kitchen table, sit them down, go through this list so that they know all the different things about the Kids Helpline, and then give them a ring. They encourage you to do this. And if you're a teacher, do exactly the same thing with your class. They encourage it, because think back to yourself, when you're in crisis, you don't always make the best decisions. So it's best for children to do it when everything's calm, when everything's, going well, so that they can just, get the sense of what it's like. They encourage the children to ring if they're, something good's happened, because they need to know that the lines of communication are going to be there. So the other thing is, some kids say, well, I'm going to prank them. So I explain to them, well, if you prank them, that's not okay, because if you're wasting their time and another child, remember they get up to 1,500 calls a day, if you're pranking them, that it wouldn't be fair that you're taking up their time. Now, I think there's about 30 counsellors on at any one time, and of course, after school is the most busiest time. That's why I'm lucky when I'm working at schools, I can get through during the day usually. But after school, because of bullying and things, they're quite busy. But by giving your children this experience, this physical experience of doing it, it just takes away that for them being daunted about doing it. It's really empowering for parents to do it with their children, because some kids in class have said, oh, but miss, I'm not allowed to use the telephone, or if I use the telephone, then my family would know what was going on and things like that. So another thing that I set up, and especially in the remote communities that I work in, is I arrange with the school that if a child needs to use the phone, all they have to do is go up to their teacher and say, I need to use the phone, it's private, and schools will let them use the school phone. So I hope this is useful. If you've got any questions, pop them below, and I'll come back and check out any questions that you have. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Give the Kids Helpline a ring, whether you're a parent or a teacher. Bye.